Right, let's, before I forget, because we're doing a little run up to Edinburgh Fringe season, and before we hit our proper Edinburgh season, which will happen during Edinburgh. So you are in Edinburgh this year. This is 2025 we're talking about, but I'm sure you'll be in other years with your... I mean, I like the titles of your shows.
Thank you,
I have
Richard.
to say. And in a way, we might... Let's say what this one's called, but then we might go back over some of the old ones.
I can reel them off if you need.
Okay.
Should I do it in chronological
Let's
order?
do it chronologically so we can see.
Glengarry Glen. The next one's an outlier, the very best of Belinda Carlisle.
Okay.
My name doesn't feature in that at all.
No.
Glen, how do you like it, how do you like it? Love Don't Live Here, Glenny Moore. Will he still need me, will he still feed me, Glen, I'm 60 more. And this one this year is Please Sir, Glen, I Have Some More. And that's got to be the last one,
Okay.
I think it's time to move on after that.
I'd be tempted to do like one that's absolutely nothing like it, but maybe just a 2-word one. Call it Glenmore, and that's Let's Dance. It's a pun, for example, that's a pun on Let's Dance. You might have to put Let's Dance in brackets.
David Bowie's, or brackets, like brackets 1988 or whatever year it released.
Yeah. Or you could just put Glenmore and then not, just people have to guess it, and anyone who guesses...
People have to guess what there's...
I mean, you could have a clue, but it'd be quite good fun if people have to... And then if anyone who guesses it, I guess, gets to be you next year.
I'd like to. The only like anti-joke I'd ever wanted to do, which I was told it's not worth it, is the Fringe guide is obviously full. The first few pages are full of, it's the midday comedy show. And it's for people obviously trying to play the game and get to the front of the Fringe guide. That I really wanted to call my show, it's Glenmore. To be the final thing.
But being in last place is probably just as good. I don't know if that ever... worked. I went through the entire Ed Fringe website, all the comedians in it anyway, to obviously look to see who was there for booking Edinburgh, and you know, it doesn't make you think, oh, I must go and see that. Oh, how brilliant that they've.
If they're already playing this, if they're already tricking people,
it makes you think, okay, you guys are never going to be on my podcast. But yes, there we go. Well, that's good. So, is there a theme, or is it just?
There's a theme not to do with the title.
Right, okay.
There's a theme not to do with the title at all, and it's about. It's ostensibly about. I ran out of petrol in Death Valley about 9 years ago.
Right.
And I never ever talk about like real life events that have happened to me on stage or anything like that.
No.
I'll always just write the jokes first and then work out what the jokes seem to be about.
Yes.
And then just reverse engineer a storyline from that. I hope it doesn't ruin the show, previous shows for anyone who's seen them, and hold them in very disappointing relief in retrospect. But this, I was like, I think that might be a decent enough vehicle of that's what happened to me and a friend.
Yeah.
After I'd done my debut at the Fringe in 2016, and we went to California, and we were going from like LA to Las Vegas. We went from Las Vegas to San Francisco, and we thought we'd take a detour through Death Valley.
Yeah.
Because on the map it said Death Valley National Park.
Right.
And I just took the words national park as meaning like, oh, it's like a national trust, sort of like there's people, like it's regulated. You know what I mean? There's like a gate you have to go through and you have to pay to, you know, and then and it was obviously it isn't that at all. And we didn't stock up with enough petrol on the way there, and we got stuck.
And then with you being colourblind, I guess that made it even harder to tell what was green.
All that bright blue sand,
Yeah.
as far as the eye could see.
Must have made it more difficult to get out there.
We were listening to the Grey Man group on the radio. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, like, it is a story of.
It's vaguely that story, but obviously goes off into various tangents. Because the issue was, me and my friend never worked out whether I was in the passenger seat. Either I gave the wrong direction, or he didn't listen to me.
Right.
And we still to this day don't know who was in the wrong.
Right.
So it's about. I have an absolute certainty in my life that I'm in the wrong at all times, and so it's assessing that with regards to other events.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I drove across America. Well, I was driven across America after I did Camp America in 1986, I guess. And then after that, we sort of did a thing where you were able to drive someone's car for them across the country.
Oh, so my one of my lecturers at uni told me about doing that. It just sounded great.
It was we had such a limited time doing it. It was such a long way that we didn't really...
You had to like a direct.
Yeah, we didn't really see very much, and we sort of fell out. Well, it was sort of... It's you know, I might one day write about this myself, but it was sort of quite interesting. In the end, it was from California to Florida, so it was a long old... But we went through the Arizona desert and everything, so that was... And we must have gone past the Grand Canyon, but I don't think we looked at the Grand Canyon. I remember
you had to go that quickly,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you couldn't.
I think we stopped in New Orleans. Had a night in New Orleans. When we got to Florida, the guy who said he was going to do another one to New York where our flight would be, and they said, yeah, I've decided I'm just going to fly back. He had a credit card. He was about 29, and everyone else was...
in the 80s as well.
Yeah, and everyone else was 18, 19, you know. And so he said, I'm just going to... And I literally had run out of money. And he just decided he wasn't going to... I think we'd all fallen out a bit.
So what'd you do?
Well, I had to get a Greyhound bus, but I didn't have enough money for it.
I've always wanted to get one of those. Is it shit?
Yeah, it was... Well, this is a long story, but yeah, we'll go for it. I had to get a Greyhound bus. I didn't have enough money. It was still going to be quite a lot of money, and I was down to like my last maybe 100 quid to survive. It might be even less than that to survive a week as well in New York once I got there. So to get to New York, survive a week in New York, and there was a flight home. And so I was sort of sitting in the Greyhound bus station, not knowing what to do. And then this girl, I met an English girl, and she said, "Oh, I've got these tickets. They're like, you know, I bought in advance, and they're $10 each, and you can go anywhere in a day with these tickets."
Right.
And so I bought one off her for $10 instead of $80 or whatever it would have been to get. I can't remember what it was, but it was, you know, it was a lot less money. And then, but it was in her name, and her name was Sally something. So I took it up to the thing. And they said, "Have you got any ID?" I said, "No, I left all my ID in New York. So I'm sorry, I've only got this. I've left everything." So they were a bit suspicious. They went, "Oh, and your name's Sally, is it?"
Sal. Yeah, I'm Sal.
But I said in England, Sally is a boy's name as well as a girl's name. And then
Oasis was talking about a guy.
Yeah, but there is Sal, isn't there? Sal.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
If I'd gone I'm telling you.
I gotta get to the Copacabana by 4 p.m.
But then I was. Then she said, "Go away and sit down." And I sat down, and I honestly looked 13 years old at this time. I obviously looked so crushed. She called back over and she said, "Look, I'll give you a ticket. It was only meant to take me to Washington because it was a day."
Yeah.
And she said, "I'll give you a ticket all the way if anyone challenges you on your own. But you know, so the woman in the ticket barrier gave me a ticket. Take it. You know, people used to do that. Even when I got to London, I wanted to get a bus from London to Bristol, and I didn't have enough money. It would have been about £10. You know, I'd run out of money completely. And the woman said, "I'll just pretend you're 14. I'll give you a half." Had a beard. By this stage, so people were very nice, and I got home, but you know, I think people hopefully would do that for youngsters these days as well. But yes, anyway, we got that. This shouldn't be about me. This should be about you.
No. You should make it an Edinburgh show.
Let's make it about.
You should make it an Edinburgh show. You've nearly got an hour.
Yeah. The whole Camp America thing was the camp nearly burnt down there was a massive fire on the last night of the summer camp.
Wow.
And we're seriously very lucky to be alive. No one got killed, but we were very
I
close.
find Camp America quite triggering. I was going out with a girl in my final year at uni who did like a summer at Camp America.
Right.
And I think once every 2 weeks, she was allowed to go to the nearest town where she could go to an internet cafe for just like 5 minutes to send just any necessary emails. And that was going to be our correspondence. And I was doing work experience because I was previously a journalist. I was doing work experience at the News of the World.
Oh, wow, okay.
Just when it shut down.
Right.
And I logged in on my first day at the News of the World to be like, I wonder if Molly's had a chance to, and I went on Facebook and it said, "Molly's ended your relationship." So she'd used
her God.
5 minutes to go in this town to be like, I must end things with Glenn without telling him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
Thanks for reminding me.
Sorry to bring that up. Let's get all the. You're at 5:30. Is that right? At the Pleasance Courtyard, the fourth.
I'm in the fourth. I've never done a show in the fourth.
I don't even know what the fourth is.
The fourth is like you walk into the courtyard. It's around the back of the courtyard.
Right.
It's above the gym. You've got to walk up several flights of stairs.
Okay.
And shape-wise, it's like a mini version of the Grand.
Okay.
Like it's almost a semicircle, but like the audience. You can almost sort of read it like an auto cue. The audience are very much there from left to right, almost in sort of like a thrust, and it's just like a flat.
So you've not played this room before? I mean, there's so many rooms at the Pleasance now.
Yeah, I think actually when I think about it, I've done 2 like full month-long runs in the Pleasance ever, and both of them were in the Cabaret Bar, which I loved.
Yes.
But this will be the first. I've seen plenty of shows in the fourth, but it's the first time sort of on that stage.
Okay, good. Yeah, I probably have seen something in there, but yeah, it's... Yeah, good. Well, the Pleasance is lovely. I'm down at the Stand this year, Stand 3.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's... And I've got a flat that I think is... I mean, it's the most expensive flat in the world, and it's not worth the money it is, but it is almost next door to my venue.
Do you want that? Is that what were you like on the lookout for?
It wasn't really what I was on the lookout for. A few things came in, and I just thought, well, I wanted to be that end of town, just because the last time I did the Stand, we were up
like Morningside or something like that.
Yeah, well, no,
like
we were right in the thick of it. We were right near, the big Bristow Square. But the walk down it took like I wanted to walk every day, but it took like 30 minutes to get to there and 30 minutes back, and then a lot of your days gone. So I quite like, because we're going up with the family, I quite like the idea of just literally being able to tag team my wife.
Man, yeah.
And go, well, and then I've got the kids, and now you go and do your show, because her show's she's doing stand 2 at about 4 o'clock, so we got to kind of work out our afternoon. Do you haven't got kids, have you, or have you got kids?
I have got kids.
Oh, you have got kids.
Yeah.
So do you take your kids?
No. So this is the first. I've never done this before. I'm living on my own,
Right.
which I've never done in my life.
Okay.
I've never spent more than like one night fully on my own in a building with no one else in.
Right.
And I'm in Portobello, so I'm by the sea.
Oh, no, okay.
So I've never been in that situation before. It's an hour and a half walk in,
Yes.
I think, according to Google Maps. And actually, I quite like that. And I think I'd quite like not being around all the posters of everyone you know.
Yes.
And just the general atmosphere. And it's quite nice being able to sort of commute in, and being able to sort of switch it on and off. I find it very tricky in Edinburgh. You can't even go down an alleyway without bumping into someone you've met before or something like
course,
that. Or and I think, I reckon there's a chance I'll get 2 days in and go, I think this is the loneliest I've ever been in my life, because I'm staying in like a tiny bedsit where it's a case of like, from the bed you can see the bathroom and there's like a little hob and a microwave, but no other...
Right.
No other kitchen implements or anything like that, and it's all just in the same room. And I don't know if that's going to feel a bit prisony, but I'm going to give it a go. In the past, I've lived with other comedians, and that's great. But then you end up. It's horrifying when you see a comedian you know reading reviews of someone else, and it suddenly makes you remember. Oh yeah, people are reading like people are reading your reviews, and that's horrible. So that side of it is something I sort of didn't necessarily want.
But does that mean you're walking in the morning, or are you just going to go in for your show and come back away for your show?
I think go in for my show unless I want to see anything earlier. I try and see at least one show a day the whole time I'm there, because otherwise it's a bit of a missed opportunity. But I think, just commute in and out and just treat it like it's... as the job it is, you know. I remember the first time when I did my debut, I lived with the cast of a play, because I was like, that'd be good, because if they're celebrating like a review and go, oh my god, like we've won this award or whatever, you go, there's no envy, because I'm not a 15-person play, so that was never gonna happen. But we were trying to cut costs so much, it was 3 of us to a bed.
Oh god,
it was me and 2 guys, and I hadn't met one of them before. And we did like topping, tailing, topping.
No way.
And we did that for a whole month. And I remember bumping into John Robbins towards the end of the month. And I was telling him about it. And he was like, would you have done that like the night before your GCSEs? And I was like, no. And he was like, then why are you doing it here?
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, when we were students, we ended up and we all slept on the floor it was in Johnson Terrace. It was this Freemasons kind of hall, but there was a temple at the top, which we weren't allowed to sleep in, but there was this, we were just sleeping on the floor in sleeping bags and delineated by tables, which when you were 18 or 19 was sort of all right. But
I slept in a cupboard when I was like 19, it was fine.
Yeah, but 3 people in a bed, and what if the guy in the middle pulls and he's having sex?
We've got no provisions. Rules are rules. We've got to sleep somewhere. Eventually, we couldn't bear it, and so after a while, we bought a sleeping bag. So every 3 nights, it was everyone's rotation. Where like you did 1 night on the sleeping bag, 2 nights in the bed. And I don't really know which one was the treat.
Yeah.